Hey, it's Ian Altman, and welcome to our same side selling session today on LinkedIn Live. If you're joining us live, please be sure to put in the comments where you're joining from. It could be what city you're in, what organization, what brought you here today. Any of those things would be fine. And today, the topic we're covering is why is it that B2B customers focus on price? It's something that in our same side selling academy, in our coaches corner each month, it's a recurring theme that people bring up. Man, I have this client, they're just focused on price. All they seem to care about is price. And that just goes over and over. We hear it constantly. And I figured, you know what? Let's talk about it on LinkedIn and talk about why this happens. Because there are three distinct reasons that lead our clients or prospects, especially in the B2B space, to focus on price. And the first one may be a little bit disturbing for some of you to hear. And the first one is this. The seller brought it up. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't think I'm bringing it up. I don't think I'm the one focused on price. I think the client is the one focused on price. And what I want you to consider is this, is that very often when your client or prospect has an existing vendor, it's common for the salesperson to reach out to them. And when they reach out to them, what they often say is, oh, you're working with someone else right now. And then what do they often ask next? They often ask, well, so how much are you paying right now? How much are you spending with them? And inadvertently, what you've just done in that instance is you've now convinced your client that the single most important thing is price because it's the first thing that you focused on. So what happens is they were just being perfectly fine. You reached out, oh, we're already working with somebody else. And immediately you're thinking the only reason they would possibly switch to somebody else from who they're using now is if we're less expensive. And because we started the conversation talking about price, it's perfectly natural for the customer to focus on price. So that first area is something to be very conscious of, and it's something that in most cases, the seller doesn't even realize that you're doing it. So you'll say to them, well, how much are you paying now? Or they say, oh, we're working with someone right now. And the rep says, well, maybe we could save you some money. So what have we just done again? Now we've just convinced them that it's all about price. But it isn't all about price. In fact, most of the times when we buy things, it's not because of price, especially when we're changing things. When we're changing from one vendor to another, it's rarely about price. So we need to make sure that we're not the ones who are starting that whole price conversation with them. So the first thing is that the seller brings up price. Once again, it's not something they do intentionally. It's not something that they think, oh, this is great, I'm going to make this all about price. It's just as soon as the potential client says, I'm already working with somebody else, they naturally just say, oh, well, maybe I could save you some money. Gee, what are you paying now? Oh, maybe we could beat that. And now we've shifted the whole conversation to price. And that's not something we want to do. So the second one is this notion of we get stuck on price versus results. And what I mean is we get in a whole discussion that is centered entirely around price. So the client says, well, gee, I don't know. I mean, how much is your stuff? And then we start this whole conversation about price. Of course, every client would love to pay less for the same thing. So it's okay that they want to pay less. That's perfectly fine too. And so we want to make sure that when we're having this dialogue with them, that we're not focused just on price. So the way we pivot that is what's more important to your client, the price or the results that they get? And what I want you to realize is this, is that it's not necessarily something that is that's so hard to overcome, because I want you to think of it this way. How much less would you have to pay for it to be a good deal, but you don't get the results that you need? For our clients, results matter more than anything. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that with our clients and prospects, that if they say, well, gee, how much is your stuff? Say, look, first and foremost, I want to make sure I understand what kind of results are going to be important to you. What can we measure together to make sure we get the right results? Because I want to make sure that whatever number I give you is going to ensure that we achieve those results. So that way we're shifting the focus at that point from price to results. So oftentimes people will say, well, my client or prospect is focused on price, and what do I do about that? And the answer is we need to shift that conversation to results. Anytime you get faced with pricing, your answer is about results. So let's say you had laid out an 8-step process for your client. It was going to cost $50,000. The client or prospect says, gee, I don't know, what could you do? We really like your stuff, but can you do it for $40,000? And now they've just shifted the whole conversation to price. And what you need to be able to say is, based on our understanding of the results you're looking to achieve, this is the process we go through, and that's $50,000. Have we overshot what we need in terms of results? Should we pare back some of this process for you so that way you're not spending as much? Is that a better solution for you? And so that gives us a way to have a conversation that shifts from price to results. The last thing that people get stuck with is you get seen as a commodity. Now, this is something we spend a lot of time in the Same Side Selling Academy, in our Coach's Corner, talking about, which is how do you make sure that you're not commoditized? And so what will often happen is your client or prospect says, yeah, well, we love you. You seem great, but these other guys over here are half your price. And if they actually perceive that you're the same thing, then, it doesn't really matter. If they perceive that you're the same thing as the other vendor, they're not going to want to pay twice as much. So we need to help them understand how we're different. And one of the things to recognize is that your clients and prospects, if they don't know the difference between what you do and what your competitors do, it's not their fault. It's our fault, and we need a way to fix that. So we use something I refer to as the client vision pyramid. And the idea of the client vision pyramid is this. When someone expresses interest in whatever it is you have, you want to describe what it is that you offer at 3 different levels. And the idea is that it's shaped like a pyramid. So someone says, oh, Ian, well, I'm interested in what you do to help our sales teams perform better. And I say, great, when people are looking for help, they're usually looking for help at 1 of 3 levels. At the base level is, and our industry is kind of shaped like a pyramid. So that base level is what we call the effective level. This is where you know exactly what you need. You just want to consume some sort of content from somebody that can help your team with those specific areas. And as long as you know exactly what you need, that's fantastic. The next level is the enhanced level. This is where you're dealing with an organization that already has kind of a proven method, best practices. They apply those to your business. And then as long as you fit into their model, it works great. At the highest level is the engaged level. This is where they take the time to understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish and then tailor a program or solution to meet those specific needs for your organization in a measurable way. Which level are you looking for? And by doing that, what we've done is we've now helped the client realize the difference between the effective, which is often a tactical or DIY approach, the enhanced level, which is often kind of operational, and the engaged level, which is strategic. And if we do it that way, that's how we can help our clients understand how we're not a commodity. So remember those 3 different areas of how people get trapped in pricing from B2B customers. The first one is the idea of the seller brought it up and you didn't even know it. So we need to make sure that we don't lead the conversation talking about price. The second one is that we're stuck in this conversation about price instead of focusing on results. So we want to make sure that we always counter focusing on the results for our clients or prospects. And then finally, we want to make sure that we're not seen as a commodity. And so we use this client vision pyramid to help make sure that we stand out over the competition. If you have additional questions, just post them in the comments below or LinkedIn. If there are other ideas that you think are worth sharing, share those in there as well. And be sure to stop by and visit the SameSideSellingAcademy.com for more information like this and to see how I might be able to help. Thanks for tuning in today.